So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the brand new unreleased Mitsubishi Evo coming to Greenville. Obviously, they have now been fictionalized, but they still look great in my opinion. And I know that these things have been extremely hyped up as of recent, so I cannot wait to show it off to you guys. Anyways, before we get into today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe as we are on the road to 18.7k subscribers. Thank you guys so much for the crazy support. Hopefully you guys do enjoy this video. Additionally, for those of you guys who want to join my Discord server to stay up to date with all of Greenville's update information and all of my future videos, make sure to do that in the description below. But anyways, let's get straight into it. So before we get started here, I do just want to point out that both the BXL and the VX trims do have the same performance as each other, alongside the TSR body colored and sport trims. The rest do have different performances, however, I'm just pointing that out now because I'm only going to be reviewing one of each trim that does have the same performance. So now I'm going to review the prices of each trim. So starting off with the BX trim, this thing will cost $24,999. The BXL trim is going to cost $26,700. The VX trim is going to cost $27,950. The VX hybrid and electric vehicle trim is going to cost $29,150. The Sport trim is going to cost $30,755. The TSR GX trim is going to cost $35,337. The TSR Sport trim is going to cost $40,255. The TSR body colored trim is going to cost $43,750. And finally, the TSR Special Edition trim is going to cost $50,250. These are actually some really great prices in my opinion, and I feel like this is a relatively affordable vehicle. Do be advised though that some of these trims will require the Sports Game Pass. As for the lower trims, they most likely won't. So now I'm going to be moving on to the visual differences between the trims. So the most immediate difference, first of all, is that apart from the Sport, body colored, and Special Edition trims, the rest of them don't actually have wings on them. And I can guarantee that this might end up being a make or break for some people who might want to get the lower trims, and instead they might opt into getting the higher end trims instead, purely just because of the fact that they do have wings. Additionally, for the TSR GX trim, the TSR Sport trim, the TSR body colored trim, and the TSR Special Edition trims, they actually all have quad exhausts. And then for the Sport trim, it only has dual exhausts. And then for the hybrid and electric vehicle trim, it actually only has one little exhaust down there. And for the standard VX trim, it does actually have one as well, but it is slightly bigger as you can see. And that is the same for the BXL and the BX trims. Additionally, for certain trims, the accents are quite different. For example, on the BX trim, the handles are actually blacked out, unlike on the BXL trim where they are not. Also on the Sport trim, the logo is actually grayed out, whereas all the other trims don't actually have that. And then also the higher end trims do actually have hood scoops, unlike the lower end trims. And there are definitely other minute differences as well, which you guys can probably notice yourselves. But there is definitely a good amount of variation between the trims that might make or break which trim you guys actually get. Now moving on to actually reviewing the cars. First up here we have the BX trim. So first of all, let's do a startup test. Then let's do a rev test. Horn test. Fog lights. Headlights. Brake lights. And reverse lights and blinkers. Overall, pretty standard stuff. But yeah, so this trim is basically pretty bare bones as far as it gets. Obviously, it is the cheapest trim out of all of them, so that is pretty expected. However, I will say it's actually not horrible. Although, don't get me wrong, this thing isn't necessarily like crazy sporty or anything like that. I mean, it is just a base trim after all. It is still definitely a great daily driver. Without any more talking though, let's get straight into the 0 to 60 test. So in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, we got a decent launch off there. It's actually not too bad. I mean, obviously it is the base trim, so it is going to take quite a bit longer, and we are finally there. That did definitely take a bit longer, but obviously, as I have stated multiple times, this is the base trim, so there isn't really much expectations. Top speed wise as well, it maxes out at about 133 miles per hour. Definitely not horrible whatsoever for the price point. This is definitely going to be more of a beginner vehicle. Next up here we have the BXL trim, which do keep in mind is the exact same performance wise as the VX trim. So first of all, let's review the startup sound. So pretty standard, and then we got the rev test, which there is actually no revving sounds for some reason. I'm guessing it's pretty similar to the previous trim though. So next up, the brake lights, then the reverse lights, then the blinkers, then the horn, then the headlights, and the fog lights. So for the most part, this trim looks the exact same as the base trim, with the main differences being that the handles aren't blacked out, and also the fog lights are actually visible. But all in all, most people probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two trims. And I mean, this thing isn't really much more expensive than the base trim either, so it's sort of in that same category still. Once again though, still a very nice daily driver. Obviously, it's not too like sporty whatsoever. Anyways, let's get on to the 0 to 60 test here in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so seems to be a pretty similar launch to the last trim. I think it's honestly going to be a pretty similar result, to be completely honest, and now we are at 60 miles per hour. So yeah, I think that was pretty similar to the base trim. I'm not very surprised in that regard, to be completely honest. And then as for the top speed, I'm actually quite interested to find this one out. So the base trim had a top speed of 133 miles per hour, so hopefully we actually go above that on this trim. It does seem to be taking quite a while to get there, but it looks like the top speed is 133 miles per hour as well, actually. So yeah, there's actually not really much performance differences between the two, and additionally the VX trim performs the same as this trim as well. Next up, we are testing the hybrid and electric vehicle version of the VX trim. I'm actually very interested to see how this one performs, starting off here with the startup sound. Yeah, nothing really too surprising there. And we also have the brake lights, the blinkers, the horn, the headlight, and the fog light. Once again, the engine sounds unfortunately are not working, but I'm assuming they're pretty similar to the previous trims. Overall though, I do actually feel like this might be a little bit faster, to be honest. I'm actually kind of surprised to say that, but it could definitely be placebo effect. But I don't know, it just seems a little bit more like, you know, grunty, I guess, but that could just be me again. But let's test the stereo out with the 0 to 60 test in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, that was quite a horrible launch, to be honest, but we actually seem to be getting there very quick. Okay, I actually think that was a lot faster, I can't even lie, and that was with a bad launch as well. Obviously, the stopwatch will be able to tell, but at least from what I observed there, I feel like that was definitely a lot faster. And as for the top speed, it does seem like it might reach the same top speed, but I just feel like the overall like acceleration of the vehicle is a lot faster than the other trims, to the point where it is noticeable, in my opinion, at least, if that is actually the case. But yeah, we do actually, okay, we're actually maxing out at 137 miles per hour there for a second. However, I think it is intended to max out at 133, so yeah, pretty much the same top speed wise. Actually not bad whatsoever though. I'm actually kind of impressed. I'm not the biggest fan of like hybrid and electric vehicles, but I mean, hey, this thing does seem to perform a bit better, and I would honestly recommend this over the previous trims that I just reviewed, and it still is a great daily driver. Next up here, we're moving on to the sport trim. Very excited to review this one, starting off here with a startup test. Overall seems to be the same as the other trims. Once again, no engine sounds, unfortunately. Also the brake lights right here. Then we got the blinkers. Very nice. We also got the reverse light, the horn, and the fog light. So all of that stuff seems to be pretty much, if not the same. But I'm interested to see if the performance is actually better, or if it's noticeably better. Because I mean, this is intended to be the sports trim. So visually though, it actually doesn't look too different from the other trims. It does have a blacked out logo though, which is definitely the most noticeable feature in my opinion. However, despite the fact that this is supposed to be the sports trim, I feel like this is going to be probably one of the most unpopular trims, purely just because it is missing a lot of the detailing that the upper trims have, or at least the ones after this, which a lot of people might want. Anyways, let's move on to the 0 to 60 test here in 3, 2, 1, go. So actually, that was a pretty solid launch right there, and we are at 60 miles per hour. There we go. Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed by that. I did expect it to go a bit faster there. I feel like it's honestly not much different, if at all different, to the previous trims. Obviously, all of this stuff is subject to change before the update actually releases, and that is definitely something that I want to point out here, because there have been times in the past where Greenville has adjusted performance on cars like last minute. And then for the top speed here, it looks like it's once again going to be 133 miles per hour, I'm guessing. And yeah, there we go, 133 miles per hour once again. Next up, we are moving on to the TSR GX trim, and this is where we start seeing a lot more of those sporty features. Super excited to review this one. First of all, here is the startup test. Sounds pretty much the same as all the other trims, I'm pretty sure. And this one actually has engine sounds for once, so let's do a rev test. And as you guys can see, it is actually spitting flames, which some people will definitely like. Then we also have the brake test right here, blinkers right here as well, which actually now are aligned at the top, unlike before where they were on the sides. And we got the headlight test and the fog light test, which they do actually have new fog lights now, as you guys can see underneath here as well. These actually look super cool in my opinion. And let's do a horn test, which is the same as the other trims. So yeah, this is definitely where things start getting a lot sportier. There are a lot more visual differences on this than all the other trims that I've reviewed so far. And this is definitely one of the best looking trims in my opinion, because this is where it sort of like obviously starts looking sporty, while also still retaining like a just regular daily driver car look, which I know that a lot of people will definitely appreciate. And also for those who don't want to look like super flashy but still want to have a nice like sporty looking car, this is definitely going to be the trim for you guys. I can also immediately notice a big performance upgrade on this trim as well. So with that, let's actually start off with the 0 to 60 test right here in 3, 2, 1, go. So that was actually a really good launch, and I can definitely tell so far that we are getting a lot faster of a 0 to 60 here. Actually very impressed with that one. And then for the top speed test right here, let's just push this thing to the max. And and we have already surpassed 133 miles per hour, which was the top speed last time, and the new top speed is around 155 miles per hour, which is actually a pretty considerable upgrade in speed. I'm actually very happy with that, and this trim is still extremely cheap as well, with all things considered. So next up here, I am reviewing the TSR Sport trim, and this is the first trim that we actually get a wing on, which is cool. Anyways, getting straight into it here, let's review the startup sound. Once again the same, then for the rev test. And then for the tail lights as well this time, it does actually have a bar that goes across the entire vehicle this time, which is cool. And the brake lights do look the exact same apart from that. Additionally, we got the reverse lights right here. And then we have the headlights with the fog lights right here as well. Additionally, we have the horn test. And yeah, let's get straight into driving this thing. So I mean, I will definitely say that this trim is giving me WRX SDI vibes. I'm pretty sure that's probably mostly down to the color. Obviously, the Evo and the SDI are both rally vehicles, so. And once again, the performance on this thing is actually great, especially for the price that this thing costs. Anyway, so let's move on to the 0 to 60 test here in 3, 2, 1, go. That was actually a very nice launch right there, and we are already at 60 miles per hour. That was very quick, dude. And let's push it straight to the top speed here and see what we get. And it looks to be about 155 miles per hour. And then finally, we are moving on to the TSR Special Edition trim. As I did say earlier on in the video, the body colored trim does perform the same as the Sport trim right here. So I won't be reviewing this one just because of that reason. But yeah, the TSR Special Edition trim right here obviously has the iconic Evo red. And yeah, obviously color scheme wise, it looks pretty similar. And I mean, a lot of you guys might disagree with me in saying this, but I actually feel like this literally looks better than the Evo that we have in real life. Anyways, doing the startup test right here. Once again, sounds the same as all the other trims from my memory at least. And as for the rev test right here as well, it should be the same. And then the horn test, then a brake light test right here, a reverse light test, and then we got the headlight test right here, and the fog light test. So yeah, all in all, I'm actually very impressed with this vehicle. As I did state before, the trims actually have some pretty good variety to them. Anyways, let's get on to the 0 to 60 test right here. So in 3, 2, 1, go. And once again, a very good launch right there, and we are at 60 miles per hour. I don't feel like that was much faster than the previous trim, but it could have been a bit faster, don't get me wrong. As for the top speed, I think we'll probably max out at about the same at, yeah, 155 miles per hour. Anyways, so thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you guys did enjoy it, once again, make sure to leave a like and subscribe as we are on the road to 18.7k subscribers, so it would be greatly appreciated. And for those guys who want to join my Discord server, that is in the description below. For those guys who want to stay up to all my future content and all Greenville's update information. Yeah, I've actually really enjoyed reviewing this car. I'm definitely going to be buying it when it comes out. So hyped for this thing, dude. It is a crazy good looking car. Yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.